Today's Namaste Yoga continues our series of classes on Vishnu's incarnation with the kind, sweet, faithful, and gentle Ram. Hello, welcome to episode 2.
Here's our blanket. Excellent.
Asymmetrical dropping and sinking up. Notice how just joining us for the second episode next week. Namaste. Hello and welcome to episode 112 of Namaste Yoga. I'm so happy that you could join us today. Today, as you can hear, I have a little bit of a cold today, and it was interesting because one of my students said to me this week, well, you're a yoga teacher, you shouldn't get sick, but yoga teachers are human too. We do get colds, and I have a little bit of a cold right now, so I have some tea to keep me going, but I wanted to make sure we got the next episode of Namaste Yoga out for you. A couple of things I wanted to let you know about. Firstly, I want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for all your beautiful feedback. A couple of people took some time to email me this week of some ideas of how we could improve Namaste Yoga. So feedback can be constructive as well. We appreciate that. So one was around when we put the Facebook logo up to ask you to like us on Facebook at Your Namaste Yoga. And she was finding it irritating that it was in the middle of practice. And I agreed with her. I thought that she was absolutely right about that. So we've taken steps, and this will be the first week that we will put that logo at the beginning to remind you, and at the end as well. But we'll leave the practice part free of any interruptions on screen. The other thing was I had a email from one of my very devoted students who suggested that I return to a class that I taught that she felt fell flat a little bit, and I agreed with her. I thought she was right. It was an episode that I was so excited about, and when I actually taught it, it just didn't feel like it delivered in the way that I wanted it to, and so I appreciate that feedback. I like to be accountable to you, and thank you very much for taking the time to offer your suggestions to me to keep Namaste Yoga at a high level. We truly appreciate that. Just wanted to let you know that the membership site is clicking along very nicely. We also had a really great question this week about two good questions that I want to cover off here. One is the membership site going to replace Namaste Yoga's free weekly yoga video podcast? Absolutely not. We are going to still produce a class every week for you. That is our intention with this Namaste Yoga. So we will be continuing with this. And then the other question was, what does Namaste Yoga offer me? What does the membership site offer me above and beyond what I'm already getting for free here? And the answer to that is a lot. The stuff on the membership site is not available anywhere else on the web. It's only available to members. So, for example, when we first launched the membership site, we included a whole home retreat that you can do. And this was based on a retreat that I taught in October of 2011 this year. The cost of the retreat was $395, and you're getting all that content, a weekend's worth of content, for $60 if you're going to pay in advance for the year, or $6 a month if you're going to pay monthly. Also, we're dripping in my videos that are available at melissawest.com at the rate of 1 per month. We started with the Immunity Boost video, and that's already up for you to enjoy to help you prepare for winter and hopefully keep away from colds and flu and stuff like that. The other thing that's there that's not available elsewhere is the discussion forum. And I have to say there are lively, engaging conversations going on there, and I'm super pleased with the way that's starting to shape up right now. There are other things as well, but what is being offered in the membership site does go above and beyond what's available free through the weekly yoga video podcast. Also, we are offering a reduced rate for the first 100 members, and we're quickly reaching 50 members. Probably by the time you see this, we'll be beyond 50 members. So if you're interested in getting in at the ground floor, of keeping that reduced rate for the entire life of your membership, you'll be grandfathered in. You will keep your reduced rate for the entire length of your membership. Then I would definitely get on it, because we don't see staying below 100 members for longer than about a month or two longer. So that is it. Enough of me babbling. Let's talk about the content for today. Let's contextualize today's class. And this is other good feedback that I've gotten recently, is that I've got to remember to tell you what props you need at the beginning of class so you don't have to disrupt your flow of yoga as you go. So I was looking over my lesson plan before I began today, and it would be great for you to have either two pillows to support your knees. We're going to be doing some Lotus pose today, or 2 blocks. So whatever props you have on hand, here I have these pillows on hand, so I use them. Then you can go ahead and get those. And once you do, go ahead and lie back in Shavasana, and I will introduce you to today's topic, today's theme for today's class. All right. So Ram is the 7th incarnation of Vishnu, and he forms the main theme for the Ramayana, which is similar to the Mahabharata in terms of it being a spiritual text, but a little bit shorter. And it's another epic. Rama was a prince who was virtuous, brave, and kind, and the eldest son of King Dasharatha, who, as he grew old, decided to crown Rama as king and then retire. On the eve of the coronation, Kaikeyi, the youngest wife of Dasharatha, through manipulation, extracted a promise from him to get her son Bharata installed as the king and exile Rama and his beautiful, devoted wife Sita and half-brother Lakshman to the jungles of Deccan. Bharata, who was away when this was happening, was full of remorse. One of the things you'll learn about Rama today is that he is well loved. And he followed Rama to the jungles and offered his kingdom back to him. This meeting of the brothers is described with much pathos and tenderness. But Rama would not cause the promise given by his father to be broken and sent his brother back to rule as his regent. From this point, the real saga begins. Ravana, the demon king of Lanka, came to hear about the beauty of Sita, Rama's wife, and abducted her, carrying her away in his aerial chariot. Rama and Lakshmana were out at that time, and on returning set out on a search for Sita. After long wanderings in the forest, they found out her whereabouts with the help of wild bears and monkey tribes that inhabited the hills. Under Rama's leadership, an army of monkeys was raised who built a bridge across the gulf between the mainland and Lanka, and stormed Lanka. After many bloody battles, the 10-headed Ravana was killed and Sita was reclaimed. After the exile, Rama returned to Ayodhya with the many monkey chiefs. Of them, Hanuman, who we'll be working with today, was considered the most loyal and brave and is worshipped at present by the Hindus as a god. So as always with these stories, take what resonates with you and let the rest go for now. I was reminded of that by one of our wonderful viewers this week too. It's wonderful when you guys remind me of my own teachings. What I always say when we are working with the Hindu deities is that I am not asking you to worship them, but that we can learn from their stories, that their character traits and their stories can teach us how to know ourselves better and to know ourselves more. And so what you want to know about Ram is that he is considered a friend. He represents fidelity, gentleness, steadfastness, and his wife Sita represents faithfulness and affection. They are an example of constancy in marriage and therefore loyalty as well. It's said that when you chant Ram, it purifies your heart. Sita and Rama together are considered symbols of incorruptibility, honesty, loyalty, tenderness, and steadfastness. And so as you reflect on this, I would ask you to consider the qualities of friendliness, gentleness, faithfulness, affection, tenderness, and ask yourself how you could bring those qualities not only to your yoga practice, but into your own personal life, both to yourself and to other living beings in your life. And so perhaps you feel inspired to create an intention around these ideas this morning. And perhaps you decided at the beginning of this series to create an intention that you would carry across the next 8 weeks. And if you did, you can recall that intention. Notice what it's like to come back to it now, this many weeks later, and restate that intention internally to begin your practice. Okay. So take a deep breath in through your nose and let it fall out of your mouth. Great. Okay, so the way we're going to work with this theme of Ram. Ram is often shown as a great warrior. He's often shown with a bow and an arrow. So we're going to work with bow pose today. And Sita, his wife, is depicted with a blue lotus. So we're going to work with lotus pose and so lotus mudra. And also Hanuman, known as the great devotee of Ram, will work with that as well. So in order to prepare our body for bow pose, what we're going to do is some shoulder releases. So let's start lying on your ground and rolling onto your right side. Here it can be useful to have a pillow under your head because, as you'll see when I show you, here my neck is supported. Without the pillow, my neck kind of hangs down. It's not as great. You want to always keep neutral alignment in your spine when you can. Bend your knees up at a 90-degree angle. What I've noticed with my students is that they don't bend their knees enough. It's usually more like this down here. But when you bend your knees right up, it creates some nice slack in your upper body. It's not as tight in the fascia, the connective tissue, and you're able to move more freely. So place your left hand on top of your right hand and breathe in. Breathe out. You're going to glide your left shoulder blade away from your spine. And then breathe in and glide it back. And breathe out. Glide your left shoulder blade away from your spine. Breathe in and glide it back. And we'll keep doing this, moving with breath. Remember, and bringing those qualities of gentleness and tenderness and kindness to your practice. Okay, and then inhale, open your left arm. And exhale and close. And here you keep your torso and your head still. Okay, and then now you're going to inhale, open your left arm, roll all the way onto your back. Roll onto your back of your head, follow your left arm with your eyes. So this time you're rolling through your head and your upper back. Moving slowly with breath. Okay, and then now we're going to add on one more piece, and this is to release your hips and your shoulders. I have to keep moving forward here, you'll see why. The way that it works is you'll inhale, open your arms and your legs, and then you exhale and you close your arms and legs. Nice massage through your whole back. Okay, fabulous. And then we're going to do this whole thing on the other side. So I'd recommend you just roll over to the other side. I'm going to turn on the mat so that I'm still facing you. Okay. So this time you'll be lying on your left side with your knees bent. Your right hand stacked on top of your left hand. Breathe in. And breathe out. Glide your right palm away from your left palm. And then keep your back and your head still. Inhale, open your right arm up. And just notice the difference between the two sides with kindness and gentleness rather than judgment or value. Breathe in as you open. And breathe out as you close. Okay, now inhale, open your right arm, follow it with your eyes, roll onto the back of your head and your upper back. Inhale, open, and exhale, close. And then open your arm and your leg. Roll onto your back and roll all the way over onto the other side. Okay, great. And then I'll get you to lie back on your backs. So take a deep breath in through your nose and let it fall out of your mouth. And just check in and notice the difference between your hips and your shoulders, your neck maybe even. And then let's do some releasing for your hips to prepare for lotus pose. So keep your left foot on the ground, cross your right leg over the top of your left thigh, open your right knee up, and then draw your left leg into your chest. And check in and see what kind of an edge that you're choosing today. Are you choosing a really aggressive edge, something that's kind of right at the precipice of too much? Or are you choosing a more gentle and tender edge, something that keeps you engaged, interested, focused on what's happening now in your body? Just check in with the edge that you've chosen. And then release this side from your body. Uncross your right leg. Cross your left leg over your right leg. Really open your left knee out to the side. And then draw your right leg in. Reach through, hold on your hamstring, maybe your shin. If you have any knee issues, it's definitely safer to be holding on behind your knee. And see if you can come to this side with the gentleness and tenderness too, allowing it to be new and different. And responding to what's happening to your body now. And then release your legs, bend your knees, roll to your side, and come up slowly to a seated position with your legs straight out in front of you. Okay, so when you sit in lotus pose, it's not only openness in your hips that you need, but also a lot of openness in your ankles. This has been where my students have been talking about really feeling it this week. So we're going to prepare your hips and your ankles a bit. This piece of the class, it can be quite useful for you to sit with your back against the wall, just to support you, because we're going to be here for a little bit. So that would be fine. It may even be nice just to support yourself a little bit by propping yourself up, sitting up on a pillow. Let's see what works for you. Oh, that's a little bit easier. So ease and steadiness, that's what we're looking for in all the poses. Okay, let's start with ankles. So what you're going to do here is just point your toes and then draw your toes back, your whole foot actually. So point your foot and flex your foot and really stretch out the fronts of your ankles. Just notice what's happening with your breath. And then you can circle your ankles. And then circle the other way. And take your left leg, your left knee. You're going to cross it over and place it on the top of your thigh. Okay, you can adjust the position of where you place your foot on your thigh depending on the flexibility of your hip. And here you definitely don't want to be feeling it in your knees. So back off to a place where you don't feel it in your knees. Actually don't see any reason why you couldn't put your foot below your knee even, okay? So do what works right in your body. What we're going to do here is inhale, lift your left knee up towards your torso. And then exhale and move your left knee away from your torso. When you do this, you don't want to be like jamming down on your knee, okay? Knees are very precious and you want to treat them that way. You definitely don't want to injure them. So listen to your own body. You want to feel it in your hip joint, not in your knee joint. If you're feeling it in your knee joint, you need to back off in the ways that I've suggested. So it's inhale up to your torso and exhale down. And then you can pick this leg up. You can even wrap your arms right around this. This one's called rocking the baby. It's so cute. You're going to cross it over your body and open. You just gently rock the baby. I learned this one when I used to teach prenatal yoga. Which reminds me, don't we have those videos almost ready? We had some videos we worked on a while ago with those. Okay, and then the other thing I want you to do here is hold on to your foot and just circle your ankle again. Again, just to prepare your body for sitting in half lotus. So I just circled mine both ways without telling you to switch directions. So go ahead and switch directions. And then release your left leg out and just check in. Feel the difference between your two legs and your two ankles. This leg for me feels quite a bit more relaxed, so it's a good sign. Let's bend your right knee in now. Cross your right leg over the top of your left leg. This side's going to be different and you want to honor those differences. You may find you're up closer to your groin in this one, or you may find you're further away. So just notice where it feels right to be in this one. And then inhale, lift your knee up towards your torso, and exhale, lengthen it away. So as I mentioned before, you don't want to push straight down, but you can think about lengthening your leg long out of your pelvis. And then the next thing we did was rocking the baby. So if you want to place your right foot in the crook of your left elbow, wrap your right elbow around it and rock your baby from side to side. And then the final thing we did on the other side was to circle your ankle. And circle it the other way. And then release your right leg out. Shake it out a little bit. And just feel the release that you've got in your hips and your ankles now. Okay, one more stretch I want to do for your ankles, but first I want to give you an alternative because this will not be for everybody depending on your knees, but depending on the length of your quads, depending on your ankles, okay? So here is the modification. You're going to just go straight back to one that we already did, which was the pointing and flexing of your feet, okay? So if this one looks like it's not going to work in your body, this is your modification ahead of time. And if it feels right for you, one of the things you can do, here's the other version of your pose, is to come up to kneeling, okay, if this works in your body. Couple of modifications that can work here. You can fill the space between your legs here with a pillow or a folded up blanket. You can also, some people will have a real space here underneath, and you could put a rolled up blanket underneath there too, okay? Always fill space. Okay. Oops, sorry, plant. And then you're going to lift your knees one at a time to stretch out the fronts of your ankles to prepare for sitting in lotus pose. Notice what's happening with your breath. Ooh, you might have even heard that one. That was my foot. Felt good though. Okay, great. And now we're going to do a version of Hanuman pose. Not the full splits, but a version of Hanuman pose. So you can come up onto your knees, have a folded up blanket for underneath your knees, or roll your mat over a little bit to give some extra padding underneath your knees, and then walk your left leg through. So this is considered Hanuman pose. Hanuman was a great devotee of Ram, and at one time Ram was very injured in battle, and Hanuman volunteered to go to the Himalayan mountains to get the herbs that were needed to cure Ram. And according to this story, he had to cross some great body of water to get to the Himalayan mountains, and he didn't know how he was going to do it. So in this pose, it's of Hanuman kneeling down in prayer, surrendering and asking for help, saying, Dear Lord, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Please help me. Give me the strength. Give me the ability to save my Ram. Okay, release this side, and I'll get you to do the other side. So step your right leg forward. So many great stories with Hanuman, and you can go back to some of the episodes. If you search Namaste Yoga Hanuman, Dr. Melissa West, you will come up with the other Hanuman episodes. But the deal was with Hanuman was that he caused so much. Hanuman was a demigod, and he had all these powers, and he caused so much mischief by misusing his powers that all the other gods got together and decided that they should allow him to keep his powers, but he would forget that he had them. And so this is a great metaphor for our own lives, in that we have all this strength and all this power within ourselves, but we tend to forget. And Hanuman's story is a metaphor for that in our own lives. Okay, come back onto all fours. We're going to do downward facing dog. A modification for down dog could be puppy right here. But you could do down dog. Tuck your toes under, reach your hips up. Okay, and then find a way to come up to standing. From standing, let's begin with a few shoulder rolls. Inhale, lift your shoulders up. Exhale, roll them back and down. And then turn to face the front of your mat. Going to take a generous step back with your left foot. Turn your hips so they face the long edge of your mat. Your left toes are turned in. Sink down through your front right sit bone. As I mentioned, Ram is known for his holding an arrow. So we're going to work with arrow's pose. You'll start with warrior 2 arms, and then bring your back left arm forward, and you'll draw your arrow. Remember your bandhas. Tuck your tailbone under, lift up through your pelvic floor, Mula Bandha. Draw your navel back to your spine, Uddiyana Bandha. Keep your chin tucked, Jalandhara Bandha. Okay, and then turn both your toes forward. Roll your pelvis over your leg bones and come into a wide-legged standing forward fold. Okay, and then roll up. And you can just turn the other way. I'm going to stand at the front of my mat again. So this time you'll have your right foot back, your pelvis facing the long edge of your mat. Sink down through your front left sit bone. Bring your arms up to warrior 2, and then the bow pose again. So you'll draw back your bow with breath. Keep your pelvis level. One thing I noticed this week in classes that happens is this reaching forward. So stay still through your torso. Let the bow happen through your arms. Okay, release this from your body. Turn both your toes so they face forward again. Roll your pelvis over your leg bones for a counter pose. Come into wide-legged standing forward fold. And then slowly come back up to standing. For bow pose, we'll be working with it's a front lying pose on the ground, a back bend. And I find one of the greatest ways to prepare for this pose is with Shiva's pose, not a Ranjasana dancer pose. It's very similar to bow pose, half bow pose, except for it's standing, just different orientation to the ground. So the way this will work is you'll stand on your left foot, bend your right leg, reach around and hold on to your right ankle or foot, tuck your tail under. And you want to spend a little bit of time opening up to the front of your right hip and dropping your knee down so that your quads are in line with each other. Here it's good to exercise caution with your knee again. So you want to feel this in the belly of the top of your thigh here. If you start to feel it in your knee, you need to back off. The other thing that tends to happen here that I see a lot of is this knee wanders out to the side. So you want to keep this knee close into your midline, where your leg would be normally if you were standing. Okay, so for dancer pose, roll your right shoulder back and down. You can extend your left arm straight out. I love one of my students this week was placing her left arm in front. Clearly she did dance as a child. And then you're going to pull your heel away from your buttocks. Keep your right arm straight, and this will start to open up your chest and pull your upper thoracic spine backwards. You can release this from your body. Take a deep breath in. Let it fall out of your mouth. Feel yourself grounded on both feet. Then I'm going to suggest a different position for your hands this time. So another nice way to work with it is to hold on, maybe if I face away from you to be able to see, hold on to the inside edge of your foot and place your thumb on your big toes. Different mudra. The nice thing about this mudra is it sets up your chest so it's really open. So stay on the same side, bending your right leg, same side, standing on your left leg. Hand is on the inside of your right foot. Your knee is pointing straight down. Your tailbone is tucked under. Inhale here. Exhale. Pull your heel away from your buttocks and just feel the difference. It just really creates this openness here that I think works quite well. Okay. Release this from your body. Let's do a counter pose here before we do the other side. Bend your knees. Come into standing forward fold. You can even, as a modification, place your elbows on the tops of your thighs here. Okay, slowly come up to standing. And we'll do the other side. So this time you'll stand on your right leg, bend your left knee, and spend a little bit of time of opening up the front of your left hip, pointing your knee straight down, feeling the stretch in the belly of your muscle, not in your knee. Roll your left shoulder back and down, breathe in. Breathe out and pull your heel away from your buttocks to open up your chest. Keep your left arm straight. You can also hold on to a wall here too to help you with balance, or a chair. And then release this side. Take a deep breath in. Let it fall out of your mouth. Okay, great. Now let's try it with a different hand position. So this time you'll hold on to the inside of your left foot. Place your thumb on your big left toe. Sets you up so you're nice and open through your chest. Breathe in. Breathe out and open up. And then release this posture from your body. Stand on both feet. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. And come into a standing forward bend. Be sure to bend your knees as much as you need to. For me, I need some knee bend in this pose. So check in with your own body to see if you're treating it like Rama would, with tenderness and kindness, faithfully looking after your body. And then make your way down, first onto all fours, and then lie down on your stomach for bow pose. So here you can just wiggle your hips from side to side to release your low back. And here's another really great trick that I like to use to create space in my low back. You just tuck your right toes under, lift your knee, reach back through your right heel. Creates all sorts of space in the front of your right hip, and then lower it down. Your right leg should feel about an inch longer than your left leg now. And then tuck your left toe under, lift your knee, reach back through your left heel, and lower your left leg down. Great space creator there. Okay, let's start with the right side. So bend your right knee in. Reach around. Let's hold on to the inside edge of your foot here. And inhale. Exhale, keep your tail tucked under, pull your heel away, and that action lifts your chest up off the ground. And slowly lower down. Wiggle your hips from side to side to release your low back. And then let's do the pose on your other side. So bend your left leg in, reach around and hold on to your ankle or the top of your foot here. Some of you will need a strap probably to hold on to your foot. Oh, we're holding on to the inside of your foot here for this one. Breathe in. Watch this. Your foot's going to want to go out. Your whole leg's going to want to go out. Keep it in close to your midline. And as soon as I do that, I feel it way more in the belly of my muscle, which is exactly what you want to feel. Breathe in. Breathe out, pull away, and lift your chest up. And then release down. Take your hands on your shoulders, push yourself up onto all fours, and sit back on your heels, stretch out your low back. So modification for this pose, if this doesn't work in your body, is to lie on your back and hug your knees into your chest. Okay, great. Now come back down onto your stomach. We're going to do the full version of bow pose. So if it's too much for you, you can always stay with one side. And I would encourage you to go to the side that was more challenging, even though you're going to want to go to the side that was easier. So hold yourself accountable there. Okay, here's full bow pose. Let's set up our hips again with that heel reach back. Tuck your toes under, lift your knee, reach back through your heels. And then bend both your knees. You're going to reach around and hold on to either the top of your feet or your ankles. And here you really want to watch it because people's knees go way out here. Keep them in as much as you can. It can be useful to tie a strap around your legs here if that's really an issue. Roll your shoulders back and down. Breathe in. Breathe out and lift. Keep your chin tucked. I see this all the time in class. Keep your chin tucked. Okay. Lower down. And then push yourself up onto all fours. Sit back on your heels. Okay, and then roll up to your spine and come to a comfortable seated cross-legged position. So here's where you're going to need your pillows or your blocks again. Wow, we really took tender, loving time with our class today. Need to finish up here. So you're going to sit cross-legged. You may... especially a lot of people when they sit cross-legged, there's a lot of space between their knees and the ground. So fill the space with your pillows. Okay? come into a twist. Take your left hand to the outside of your right knee. Lengthen up tall through your spine. And then come back to the center and twist to the other side. Right hand to the outside of your left knee, lengthen up tall through your spine. Come back to the center. So now we're going to try lotus pose. This pose isn't going to be accessible for everybody, and you really don't want to force it, because if you do, you'll end up hurting your knees. So be cautious. The way it's going to work is try taking your right foot to the top of your left leg. So this is half lotus position. I'm just going to fill that space with a pillow. Full lotus. You would bring your right foot up as well. Your left. Okay, so this would be full lotus. So my hips are a little tight. In somebody whose hips were more flexible, you would probably see feet coming all the way up here and spilling over. Okay, so try either half lotus or full lotus. You choose, see what works best in your body today. So I'm just going to take half lotus, because that's going to feels a lot better in my body. I'm really going to favor this knee here. And then bring your hands, we're going to do lotus mudra with this in honor of Sita, who holds the blue lotus. Bring your heels of your hands together, your baby fingers and your thumbs. Open your fingers wide and lower it to the level of your heart center. Close your eyes. And as you sit with this, you can silently repeat to yourself the name Ram. 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 And it's said that chanting the name of Ram purifies your heart. You can continue to sit with this Ram Mudra for a little bit longer, chanting Ram internally or externally as well. Either is good. When you're finished sitting with the mudra, then you can rest back into Shavasana. And I would encourage you to rest in Shavasana for 5 or 10 minutes before you get back up and continue on with the rest of the day. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Namaste Yoga. Just remembered 2 things that I wanted to let you know about at the beginning. Mark these days on your calendar. April 20th to 22nd of 2012, I will be holding a retreat in southwestern Ontario in a town called Brighton, Ontario at Lotus Heart Center. And so I want you to mark that on your calendar. I would love to see lots of Namaste yogis there, and I know some are already planning on attending that retreat. So it's going to be a great place for us to meet in person, not just online. So you can make the road trip here if you live close in North America, in Ontario, in the northeastern United States. If you live in Europe, I will be in Europe from May 18th to 20th of 2012. And you can join us there for the first Ireland Yoga Festival. It's called Flourish Fest. And if you're in Europe, please do join us there so that we can practice together and not just online as well. Also, thank you to Squeezed for our awesome yoga clothing. I love this one. And I hope you have a fabulous week. I will see you next week. Namaste.